So welcome to Vibrant Expansion. I have with me today Alyse and Carlos from Murals by Us.
Hello.
Hi. So why don't you guys tell us the story of your beautiful mural here?
All right. So during quarantine and COVID in 2020, we both got let go of our jobs. And after watching Netflix and TV shows and sitting on our bums for a couple days, we decided that we had to find something else. We actually had a special dinner at the house where we dressed up in costumes, and
Yes.
I mean we were really bored.
Yeah, it was really.
And one of my friends posted, just randomly tagged me in this post on Facebook. She's like, hey, I saw this painting of a fence that someone did, and I thought about you. It looks like something you would do. And it was like all geometric and stuff like that. I was like, I could do that, you know.
Yeah.
But
I mean, since it wasn't really our style of like the geometric idea, we had already started the garden inside, and we're like, let's do it on the fence.
yeah,
but
let's do some flowers. Like,
And we decided to, instead of painting the inside of the fence, we'll share it with the neighborhood and just paint the outside.
yeah. So it started with a sunflower, because we're like, what's the happiest thing we can think of?
Yep.
And we're like, a sunflower, right? So we started with this, and I mean, we're like, oh, can we even do that? I mean, I used to paint, I paint, but nothing like this scale. And so we started here, and we had so much fun. We're like, oh, you know what? We should do another one. And in the process of painting, like, our neighbors started stopping by and waving.
This was the second one.
And I mean, first we're like just literally doing the paints that we have left over from the house, right? Like, I'm like, I have a yellow front door, it's the sunflowers. And I think we even had to use some of my little tube paint to get some of the orange in there, like the acrylics. And then one of our neighbors dropped off green.
Ooh.
So that was a lifesaver. We're like, oh, green. And I think my dad had the purple and the blue. So like, it was one of these things that it just started coming together and growing. And like I said, the neighbors would stop by, and they just gave us so much energy to keep going. We got about halfway through our fence.
So about here. This was the plan that we were going to do originally. We were going to stop here and just, leave it at that. Halfway through, one of our neighbors was driving by and stopped the car. He's like, "Hey, are you guys gonna do the whole fence?" And we looked at each other and we were like, "Sure, why not?" And we just started like actually going on Pinterest and seeing what we were gonna. What else can we paint that we can actually do? Because at this point we had no skill on this whatsoever.
Well, this is like literally the second thing he ever painted, and I painted some, but not like this. So we started getting really creative then. When we're looking at Pinterest, we have like a little bike and like ants crawling up it, all this different stuff, and it just became this amazing adventure. It took us 10 days to make this one.
Yeah.
Wow.
And of course we had to hand it with Panda by the bamboo.
Happy Panda.
Happy Panda.
So did you guys find it was difficult to enlarge things, to like kind of blow things up on a larger scale?
That was the strange thing.
He is actually really good about that, like naturally good.
Wow.
I hand draw everything on the walls before we start. Nowadays in our jobs, I look at a picture or an example that I want to do, and I just blow it up. Like, I don't know, it just comes to me.
And partially because I've been doing like canvas painting for so long, I still do a lot of our smaller stuff, because that's how I learned to paint, was small. So since he literally started here, he was like, why not paint it big? I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But see, that would be my tricky thing, is like trying to blow it up to a larger,
And now, like, if I'm going to do something small, like, I can do it, but it's harder for me than to look at, for example, a flower and to make it this big, because I don't know, my arm just like flows big.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's beautiful.
And so we've talked about like whether we should repaint it, because like our skill's gotten so much better since then, but it's so nostalgic and it's where we began, it's our roots. So we've kept it because we love it, and it still brings
Yeah.
the neighborhood a lot of joy.
Yeah,
That's
to,
awesome.
like to this day, like there's a neighborhood. They do like these groups that they take walks, and this is one of the routes that they pick because of the mural,
Yeah.
and they come here all the time.
Yeah.
Even when they have, like, there's also another group that do like beer runs.
Yeah.
And
And
they
they-
pick this route because they have the.
That's
the
so
mural
cool.
on the way to the
Yeah,
bar
yeah.
that's down there, because they grunt from bar to bar around here. And yeah, it's funny.
Look, I can just go blend in with the fence.
You like you did a really detailed painting of
I know,
it.
right? It looks like a person.
This is beautiful. This is one of my favorite places ever, honestly. Like the first time I came to you guys' home, I loved it. I was like, it's so welcoming. You guys are so welcoming.
Thank you.
You're both so creative, awesome people. And I really, when we were talking about doing an interview, I was like, oh, it'd be so cool to do it here. So it's worth all of the like
All the effort.
setting
Yes.
up of everything and getting it. So what would you call this room?
This is our boho room.
That's a good name for it.
Yes, it's not quite bohemian because we had a Moroccan vibe before,
Okay.
and would just put a little piece of both of us. We have like very similar taste,
Oh yeah.
but it's different at the same time. So we put a little bit of both of us in here.
Gotta balance the masculine, feminine energy.
I love that. It's got a perfect
Yeah.
flow of that. Like it's very cool. Yeah, and then
definitely like instruments and
Yeah.
my plans. My plans have to go
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah, the drums are all him.
I was gonna say, like, what would you say your style is? And
I like the wall over there with the fabrics and such. That's definitely me. Because
did you make those?
Well, I came from a furniture store. Like
Oh.
before we became artists, I did design and furniture sales. So at the store, whenever the fabrics are discontinued, they just throw them all out.
Right.
And I was like, oh my gosh, they throw out so many fun ones. So I would like save the ones that were like colorful. And when I got back from Morocco, I was like, oh, I want to like a wall that reminds me of Morocco.
Oh, that's
And-
awesome.
And so I was like, I have all these wonderful scraps of fabric, and I got a wild
and
idea.
the mirror on it, a friend of ours gave it to us.
Mm-hmm.
She also came here and she's like, oh my God, I have a couple of stuff at home that would be perfect for you guys' house.
Yeah.
And we met up and she gave us a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
There's a shoe rack out there that I turned into a shelf to put plants on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she was throwing it on. She's like, I know you can do something with this. I was like,
So you're the green thumb.
yes.
Oh, 100%.
Yes.
That's okay.
Not me.
I try.
I try
And I
to.
really try, and I'm like, I talk to you like I talk to my kids and like I talk to my animals, but for some reason I can't seem to nurture you. Like my cats, they're like the most loving, friendly cats. My kids are like, I hope they turned out okay. And for the,
Your kids are great.
they're
great.
cool,
Yeah,
they're chill,
yeah.
And then I'm like, the plants, I try, and yeah, I don't know what it is. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You have to
either-
spill your
I don't know.
secrets.
I do the same thing. I talk to my plants.
Yeah.
I go see them every morning, make sure everyone's got plenty of water and they have the shading and the sun that they need, and that's all.
Maybe as moms, we're just putting all that energy into our children and animals and
Maybe.
partners and friends, and it's just like, I love you plants, but
Yeah.
hey, this
you don't
guy's
take
got
part
your,
in
For me, I either forget to water it or and then I'll be like, oh my gosh, I haven't watered it in forever, and then I'll give it too much water.
That's right.
And I'm like
trying to make up
trying
for
to
the
make up
fact
for
that
the
you
fact
didn't
that-
water it for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't read the little thing that's like full sun,
Yeah,
partial
yeah.
sun. I'm like, oh, plants, sun and water, right? That's what you need.
But you know what? Something I found, like half the time, those things that like if you buy a plant at a Home Depot, for example, they tell you, oh, it's full sun or whatever, and half the time those are wrong. Like I end up moving plants all the time, and they tell me full sun, and I have to move them to partial sun or direct sunlight. or indirect sunlight. I mean, or something like that.
I've noticed that with herbs, like, you know, if you go to the grocery store and they'll have herbs for sale,
Yeah.
and like, wow, this basil is growing amazingly in artificial light. And
Yeah.
so I was like, all right, I'm going to do an experiment. And I bought basil, sage, and oregano.
Yeah.
And I usually would buy them, plant them, take really good care of them, and like kind of hide them behind the other plants and make sure it didn't have too much sun. And watering is probably my issue. I forget, and I'm like, oh yeah, outside. There's, but I was like, all right, and so I kept them all inside, and I'm like, this is the first time I've been able to take care of basil where it didn't die within the first week. I was like, all right, thank you, grocery stores, for like giving me that tip that they live better indoors because they always look beautiful. You get the produce on, and you're like, that's a really nice looking basil. Too bad I'm gonna take it home.
It's gonna die.
One that I'm really proud of right now is this is like our third attempt at lavender.
Lavender.
And it's
That was one of the hardest ones.
it's doing it's doing great right now.
Yeah, to get to grow. It's the lavender. It died because I always started it with from seed. I like to start everything from seed if I can. And it would die on me, and finally we actually got the plant started, and it's been good.
Oh wow, yeah, that's awesome.
So in this room, I would say for my contribution will be all the musical instruments, like as I mentioned. The lights, definitely the lights.
Yeah, he's put up all the lights.
The lanterns,
the
the chandelier.
tapestry,
Oh, cool.
the whitewash on the wall.
The chandelier
my-
was me.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The whitewash on the brick wall was my idea as well.
Oh, yeah, that's really cool. It makes it stand out more. Was it all red before?
Yeah,
it was
all red before. And since we're gonna it stood out because the room was blue before.
Yeah, and it was okay with the blue.
And but since we're going, brighter colors, it was gonna be too dark. So I thought about doing the whitewash, and it came out really good.
And then everything else is just an eclectic mix of the two of us.
Stuff that we pick up on our trips, and and like that, for example, that little koala that I won in one of those like claw games.
It was so ugly. It was this like poop brown koala, and he's like, "Here you go, honey." I was like, "Oh,
like cool that color."
So she put all these clothes and bracelets.
It looks so cute now. Like,
and we took a camping to Jenny Springs, and now
so he's had some experience.
Yeah, so now his name is Jenny, and we're gonna take her traveling with us every time now, because I have this little skull that a friend of mine that sculptured them. I don't know. I'm pretty sure you have seen them at airports and stuff like that, and he gave me a sample one that he had years ago, and that thing's gone with me everywhere. Like I take pictures of it. It's a little skull that I painted.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And that thing's gone with me everywhere.
Oh, that's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah, his name's Tito.
Tito. Tito's like your little like pocket buddy. Like, that's awesome.
I used to have him on a walking staff.
At the top.
And I will walk with him. Yeah.
So, do you guys travel a lot? Or
we do. I mean, we love to travel.
Yeah, we travel as much as we can.
Yeah.
And now you get to travel with your career also, which is fun. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, now most of our travels, unless it's like camping or whatever, most of our travels like involve some kind of mural.
Oh, okay.
Like when we went out to Arizona, we went to St. Louis.
And you road trip?
Yeah,
we've been on
trip. Yeah,
you gotta bring everything.
Yeah, exactly. You can't really fly with paint.
Yeah,
yeah. And plus, there was so much camping gear.
Yeah.
Because
it was so cool.
I love going camping.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, we're going out west. We have to camp in some places.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And one of those nights we were staying in Sedona, Arizona. We did try that day to look for an Airbnb or a hotel, and everything was booked. Like,
So hot?
Well,
no, it was so many people
because everybody is like trying to get out from COVID now. Like, all the parks were super busy. Sedona, like the guy that lived there said he's lived there 30 years and he's never seen that many people in Sedona before.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Sedona is this little spiritual town in Arizona that it has a lot of vortexes and
cool. So you can really feel the energy there.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a
So
great
have you been?
place. Oh my gosh, you have
Yeah.
to go.
I know.
It's amazing.
you have
It's
to.
amazing.
We were
Yes.
gonna a group of friends of ours called the Rising Collective. They just went to Costa Rica, and we were supposed to go to Sedona in November.
Yeah.
And everybody loved Costa Rica so much they canceled that trip and made a second Costa Rica
Aw.
trip instead.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's really exciting because like now I'll maybe be able to go on this Costa
Yeah.
Rica trip. But
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I kind of want to go to Sedona too. I said,
Yeah.
we'll just have to go another time.
Sedona is you're gonna love it. And so anyway, we found this campground that actually had some space because that's the other thing.
Oh yeah.
Campgrounds were full left and right.
Wow.
So we finally found the place and everything was cool. We made a fire and we met some people there. We were telling stories by the fire, getting to know each other.
Yeah.
And that night the temperature dropped to like the 20s, I think.
Are you serious? And you were prepared for that
Like
weather?
no, we had blankets. Like we have we knew we were gonna be in cold weather, so we took coats and sweaters and stuff. So all of our clothes is inside the tent, and we both wake up shivering like uncontrollably.
Like I am sleeping in sweatpants and a sweatshirt, and I'm
Yes,
like,
and we were shivering so much. I kind of like in the dark. I just started grabbing whatever clothes, pants,
just anything. Yeah.
underwear, my face, like
Just empty out
whatever.
your suitcase.
Yes.
Like okay.
And that,
normally he won't snuggle with me, but he was still snuggling with me.
Body warm.
yeah, I mean, because I normally like I
You're
run
like, I get my
hot.
snuggles on.
I run hot, but that day I was cold. I was like, "Come here, honey."
We need to bring this in a little bit.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was a really really cool experience. The whole road trip was just amazing.
Yeah.
How
How long were you gone for?
A month.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's
month.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
a fun
we did
getaway.
about
It's so good.
15 states. Something
Yeah,
like that?
about 15 states.
Yeah.
And that was how many murals did you do on that?
We did two
two.
murals.
Two murals.
Yeah.
Okay, but they take a
Yeah,
while.
yeah.
Yeah,
They
we
took
were
about a week each.
about a
Yeah.
week. We were there, and the first one we were staying at this artist
Retreat.
and
It was actually really cool.
in Arizona. It was really
Tucson.
cool. And Tucson. Yeah, it's in Arizona.
I know.
She's like,
That's
specifying here.
But we were just in a different city in Arizona. So.
Which time was it? So you had mentioned that you worked at a furniture store
Mhm.
before this. Is that what you were doing right before this?
Yes. I really craved spending more time with my family.
Yeah.
And when this actually became something that we're like, hey, this could be real.
Right.
Like this
Right,
could
right.
be our job.
Right.
It's been an amazing transition.
Yeah.
Scary at times, but amazing.
And it started, you said, like when people would see the fence and they would just be like, hey, can you do
Yeah.
our house? Or?
It started there. And then also I took a bunch of pictures and posted them on Facebook and Nextdoor.
Yeah,
And people started reaching out and being like, hey, could you do that at my house? And I was like, yeah. Why
Yeah, why
not?
not?
Yeah, why not?
And I think our first mural we charged like
$200. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Not knowing
and,
where to start.
Yeah,
you
like
know, just
we
kind
had
of
no
things.
idea.
Yeah.
We're like, what do we charge for this? Like, we have no idea what to do. Because like we said, like we completely had to, like, I have been working with dogs since I was 11 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And like off and on, not the whole, because I've done a lot of different jobs. But that was my career for a very long time. Like, I had no idea what an artist charges, nothing.
Right.
So we had to figure everything out little by little, and like talking to people, and and our skills as well. Sorry to cut you. Our skills as well, like, grown. So you get more recognition, and you have people come on, hey, do something different than what you did before, and then that pushes your imagination up farther a little bit.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Because I had sold some of my paintings before. Because I've been painting forever. Oh my gosh. He literally just started painting when we started this murals. Like,
You've never painted before?
He had never painted before.
Oh my gosh.
And what really sucks is he's just as good as I am, if not better. And I've been painting for like 20 years.
It's a weird concept, isn't it?
Right.
Like, it's so funny because I had there was this one time I was dating this guy for a while, and like people were always like, "Oh, your artwork's so great," and we would work together, and I was like, Man, I mean, like, that's like next level. Like, well, like, I'm not gonna stop it, but like, it's hard to follow up after that.
Yeah, it's it's both amazing because I support them and it sucks.
But it's cool because it's like everybody has like a different, like everybody has a different style and a different, we're always our own worst critics.
Of course.
Like I know I'm my own worst critic because like my girls will be like, Mom, why don't you draw anymore? And part of them like, well, I'm a mom.
Yeah.
I don't really have time to sit because it takes time.
It does.
Yeah.
Unless I was getting reimbursed for it and it
yeah.
had that because you're so focused on, especially as like a single parent, you're like,
yeah.
okay, we have to get by. Like we got to make sure we, I can support you guys and stuff.
Yeah.
But still I'll sit down and hang out with them and draw every once in a while. And it's weird getting back into it because I'm like, oh, I remember these familiar things.
Yes.
That, so it's really
like,
cool.
Yeah, it's like riding a bike. You're like, okay, I didn't completely forget, but it's gonna take me a minute to get back.
Takes a while.
Yeah. It also takes practice. Like the more you do it, the better you get at it. Just like anything.
Oh yeah.
And it's also muscle memory because your hand has to move a certain way to get a certain brush stroke or whatever the case may be. Or if you're going to do shading with pencil, it's the same thing. You have to be lighter to do a line. It's going to be harder.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, like you said, we both have different styles. Like we have different specialties.
Right.
Like, for me, like I love doing backgrounds. Like I love the blending process. I love, so I'm really good at the sunsets and the oceans and anything that's like just a lot of blending colors.
Like the pelican one you just did.
Mhm,
like that background is like,
the sunset,
the background. I like when we're doing background, I'm like, okay, you're the boss right now. I'm your assistant. Like, what do you need? You need me to do this? I'll do this. When it comes to doing characters and like doing things with dimension or
like the pelican was all
like
him.
the pelican. I did the pelican.
And I did the robot.
Oh, that's awesome. I love the robot.
So when it comes to doing like things like that, make it look realistic. Or that for me, it's like my bread and butter.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm better with the cartoony. So like the robot, like that was me. But if it needs to look realistic, it's 100% him. And I mean, we both obviously work on a bunch of different things.
Right.
Yeah.
But,
and what the best thing about it is that it all goes together.
Yeah.
Because her style and mine, like we did recently, we did a backyard garden thing, and I did this like very almost 3D looking banana leaves, and her elephant ears looked like almost like they were coming off the wall as well, but they were in a different style.
Right.
Like so, it all went together. It's just I don't know how it works, but we make it work.
we make it work, and because I mean, like the Zen garden we did, like I did the bamboo background,
Oh, okay.
and then you did the kind of the characters or the stuff on top of it.
Yeah.
But again, like it's you can't really have one without the other, like. Like
You complement just like this room.
Exactly.
It's just like the room. Like you just complement.
Yeah,
about
that's
balance.
exactly how we work.
Yeah.
In a balanced manner. I mean that's my biggest thing. I'm a Libra, so I need to
He's
have
all about balance.
Yeah.
I need to have
I'm an
balance.
Aquarius.
That's why we all get along well. It's that like Libra Aquarius.
It's the air energy.
Yep. I've got that little bit of Virgo because I'm right on the cusp.
Yeah.
But all of my charts say it's Libra. So
That's
I'm like,
why you're
okay.
able to edit videos. I can't do that. That's too much.
Oh, yeah. After a while, I start to get like, okay. Like at one point, I was editing every little thing. I was like, I'm going to zoom in here and I'm going to change this. And I wanted to get all creative with it. And after a while, I was like, I've been at this for like 3.5 hours, and it's just
I'm like this much into
I'm
it.
like,
I'm
this
like,
much done.
yeah. I know that's the first part. You zoom out and you're like, oh, okay. There's enough. So I've kind of changed it up a little bit, but this is fun because it's fun clipping in different scenes and doing all that is really fun.
That's more the artsy side of it.
I'll film some of this and like clip it in. So when we're talking about it, people are gonna be like, "What?
Yeah,
They're looking at something over there. Or what is it?
What are you talking about?"
I was doing that when I was
you need to especially Jubal. That's one of our newest additions.
Our
The
totem pole.
statue.
The statue.
Totem pole. Yeah, that's one of our newest addition.
Was that here when I was here last time?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I
No,
didn't
this,
think it was, but
He's new.
His new friend of ours got it from Indonesia,
Yeah.
and
Oh, that's
it's
awesome.
an African style, which is completely bananas that he got in Indonesia.
Indonesia, yeah.
And then he was brought to America and has been living here since. He's like, okay, this needs to go.
Yeah.
This needs to go into more of his environment. It was plain, and I added all those
Yeah.
things.
Because
And
he
I
was, like, shoved in a
send him a
corner garage.
picture, and he's like, "Man, you gave him fresh life."
Yeah. Now he's like, he's got feathers. He's got his like
All his
mala
necklaces.
beads. Yeah.
He came to our last drum circle.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming it's not too heavy.
Oh no,
and
no.
you right out here.
Yeah.
Drum
It
circle
was-
out here.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's like,
I was like
One at our
picturing him
house,
taking
yeah.
it to like Treasure Island. Like,
Oh,
like,
no.
all right, here
I
we
mean,
go.
if something he would
If
do.
I had my truck again, I would
That would
definitely
be-
do
yeah.
it. Yeah, because I will go with canopies and like 6 drums. And,
Oh yeah, the
like,
whole
yeah,
the whole
the
thing.
whole
Yeah.
thing.
I don't know where that comes from because the Libra side of me is like, nah,
Like
No,
for
no.
me, is that it's more
Too
of
much
like
work.
how I enjoy playing drums at the beach, but I also want to feel comfortable.
Right.
Like I don't want to
yeah.
be in the beating sun all
I
day
guess
because
that
I
is kind
go
of a Libra thing.
I go since
I
the
just love
morning.
doing the work. Yeah.
I go since the morning.
Yeah.
And like I'm like it's a Libra thing that I'm the type of lazy that I get all my work done first so I can sit down and relax afterwards.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
not have to worry about anything.
Right.
So but yeah. So anyway, I'll get there early in the morning, I'll set everything up, and then the rest of the day I'm just like this is awesome.
Aquarius in me shows up with a towel and a water bottle
At 6 in the afternoon.
at 6 in the afternoon.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
oh, the sunset.
Yay!
That's awesome.
Well, that's why you like specialize in painting sunsets. You're like,
Exactly.
I've got this down. I know this.
Yep.
It's funny when you're saying like it's African but from Indonesia.
Yeah.
When I went to Japan when I was like 21, I was like, oh, there's all these cool Japanese like little like carving little. They had a lot of these like. They were made out of fabric. There was like this little kitty sitting on a mushroom that was
Yeah.
fishing and like all these cute little things. And I got like a bunch of stuff. And then I realized on the bottom, it literally said made in China. And I was like, what is this? So I'm like, I really wanted this to be authentic Japanese. Like, well, I guess it's still from the Orient. So
Yeah.
at least it's still,
the region.
that's that general region. But I was kind of like, oh, well, all right.
That's
Yeah.
like I was just wearing a dress the other day that was actually I got it in France and it's from France, but I had to hunt really hard to find that. Like I'm in France and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need something like to take home that's like, and
authentic.
authentic, right? Exactly.
Right.
And I'm like finding all these clothes, and I'm finding clothes made in China. I'm finding clothes. I found clothes made in the U.S. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that happened. Like,
Didn't they all like
I know,
outsource?
I know. I'm like made in the U.S. I'm like, oh, I can't find those at home.
I feel like the only ones you find are like hemp companies or like something like
Yeah.
that.
So finally, it's this like little hole in the wall store, and it's super cute, but it's like this tiny little place. And they're like, oh, we have more in the basement. I'm like, oh, okay. So I go down to the basement. It's like dark and dingy, and they have this clearance rack. And I'm like looking on it, and I'm like, oh, this is really cute. And I pull it up, and it's actually made in France.
And you were like,
And-
yes.
yes, and it was on clearance for like $20, and I was like, oh, perfect.
So you've been to Morocco, you've been to France, you've been
I've
little
been to
bit.
Spain. I've been to
Okay.
Italy. I've
just for
been
fun, like
to
or
the
just-
Dominican.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just love to travel.
Yeah.
I mean, I went for technically I went for the first time when I was like 6 months old
Oh,
because
okay.
my parents or my dad was military and we moved to Italy. But I was only there a little bit, enough to, have all my baby talk be blah, 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 And, one of my first words, I told my mom she was beautiful in Italian. I was like, bella. And then I learned how to walk on an airplane on the way home. Yeah. So
you have just traveled, like that's
Yeah.
just is like in your blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and plus my grandma's my grandma, my mom's side dates back to the gypsies, so I've got some gypsy blood in there.
You I can see that for sure because like the first time I met you I was like I love your you're so expressive and it makes me so happy and I haven't been able to dye my hair for a while just because I've got sensitive to like chemical like the especially bleach because
Yeah,
usually
yeah.
for my hair I have to like bleach it to get the color and but I was like I miss having like blue in my I miss like that like
Yeah.
so yeah no when I met you I was like you're like my spirit animal I love you. it made me happy. I was like, ah. And like it's really cool that you guys do have this like eclectic, like you collecting a lot, and even got like out here.
Oh yeah, the backyards.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
all the little hidden treasures, all those
yeah.
little hidden things. Like I would always collect those things, but I was like, I don't even know where to put them. Like,
Yeah.
You put them in the garden.
you
Yeah,
made
you can bring them to the garden.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
My one little dragon statue that I have from when I was a kid, she lives in my garden.
Aw.
And then like the plants might not be. You can help me out here.
Yeah, right? Like dragons, speak your magic to the plants.
Yes.
Yeah, like recently we she
She's like
just
this
bought a
too.
little
She's like-
castle,
Cute little dragon.
and
Yeah, she's cute.
we put it next to the dragon in the pond.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so there's new stuff from the last time you were here.
Oh wow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
There's always
Yeah,
new stuff in the garden.
every time you'll come back, there's always going to be new stuff.
Yeah, you guys will get to see that.
The garden, yeah.
Yeah, we'll do a little garden tour.
It's our
Yeah.
other work of art.
It was so hot, my
Yeah,
phone was
this,
like, no.
It's definitely my my Zen place, my meditation area.
Yeah.
My calm in the morning. That's my best thing. Going in the garden and tinkering out there.
So, do you think this transition to becoming like full-time professional muralist has allowed you more time to?
Yes, definitely. Just for the single fact that our work requires imagination, it requires concentration, and you also need to have what's the word I'm looking for? Like you need to inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
So when I wake up in the morning and I go out here and I see the work of art that we created throughout the house, like we get inspiration from our house all the time.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and it also allows us time to like prepare ourselves in the morning and do our little routines. That way, when we go and to paint something, we are in the right frame of mind. That way, we can do something beautiful.
Right.
Yeah. And we both have our morning routines. Like, he's out in his garden, he's like talking to the plants, and I'm sitting there journaling or doing my tarot cards, or like
Yes,
very-
those tarot cards as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, yeah.
so very different morning starts, but they're both our morning inspiration.
Maybe
Yeah.
you can teach me and the girls some tarot tricks, because we have a couple decks, but I haven't actually gotten into where I understand all of the different cards. It's general things I've picked up from readings and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, for the most part, I still read a lot of what. I'll interpret a little bit about what the cards, like what they like stand out to me,
Right,
but a lot of
right.
it I do the readings.
Okay.
But I have a background in coaching and neurolinguistic programming and hypnosis, and my degrees in psychology. So I'll take it kind of just to another level in like, how does this relate to your life? And
Right.
So the actual reading of the cards is, like I said, my gift is that I'm connected enough to pull the right ones.
Right.
So that's really where I think the talent comes in. Is, like I said, I'm connected to source, and so I channel, like I let the energy help me just make sure the right cards are coming up. Because once the right cards come up, I'll just read.
Then you just
read what it says,
Right.
and then I'll go a step further. And like I said, because of all my different trainings, I can help relate that to whatever the question was and how that relates to the person. And plus, I'm pretty good at, I'm very intuitive and good at reading energy. And so it just all helps. It's one big.
That makes me even more excited, because I've been able to let go of my need to feel almost like an OCD, or like I guess it's anxiety sort of thing. Like when I would used to pull cards, I'd be like, oh, I don't know, is this the right? Sure. Is this like I'd overthink it, and now I'm just like, which one do you connect with? Stop overthinking it.
Yeah.
Because like I see her do it all the time, and she's shuffling the cards. And like there's a point one's gonna fall out. That's the one that's
The ones that
meant,
fall out,
the
yeah.
ones that's the one that's meant for you.
Yeah.
It's like it's like jumping out of the deck to talk to you.
Yeah.
So get this morning I was at my friend's house, and he was like, hey, I've got these animal spirit cards. Why don't you pull one? And I was like, okay. And he just handed me the box, and I opened the box and I flipped the cards over, and right there was deer. And I went, I know I'm supposed to have that one. Like it was literally just like, okay, I'm supposed to have that one. And I pulled it, and I saw zebra underneath it, and that one was like speaking to me, and I was like, "Ooh, that one's speaking to me," and I'm like, "Okay, should I pull that too, or is that my?" I got started to overthink it, and he took the cards and he handed it to me, and he's like, "Here, put your energy into it, shuffle it a little bit." I shuffle it, and I was like, I got this feeling, and I'm like, okay, this card on top is what I'm supposed to pick. Don't overthink it. Don't shuffle it anymore. Yeah. And I pulled a card. It's the zebra. And I was like, okay, thank you. I shuffled them. There was no way that I kind of like stacked it, and it just, it was like, okay, cool. And then the reading the book that went with it, it was like, oh, that is so on point. Like, it was so on point. And it was just amazing. I was like, okay, there we go. That shows me I just have to trust. And I have to trust that feeling and that connection and that buzzing. Because it literally was like, like, you need this. Pay attention to me.
100%. So, similar funny kind of story is I was doing a reading, and this it was a queen of something. I can't remember what it was. A queen of something popped up, and I was like, I was like, I don't know if that's. It didn't.
Was it clear?
I was like, And so I actually grabbed my other deck, and I pulled another card, and it was the same exact
Oh my
card.
gosh, I know.
I was like, okay, I get it.
It's supposed to be that one.
It's
Thank
that
you for confirmation.
Yes. So
that kind of thing is so amazing, and I'm just really trying to like trust that and listen to it. And the more, there was a meme the other day, I forget exactly how it was worded, but it was something like, isn't it interesting how finding ourselves really is just a going back to us as children and our natural gifts and all of that as kids, that we kind of like shift away and we're like, oh, society gets in the way, or your friends and peer pressure and all that.
Exactly. That's what gets in the way. That's what gets in the way of us being who we are. Because you see, kids are the most honest people.
Oh yeah.
Kids are
from the mouth of
the kids are the freest thinking. They don't have any worries.
Right.
Kids don't. All they do is they want to play. They want to have fun, and along the way, they like what they like. They don't like what they don't like, and it's
they
just
call out
like
the
that.
obvious.
Exactly. So along the way, like society tells us, oh, you can't tell someone, oh, you look ugly, because that's mean,
right?
Or
they'll do it all the time. They're like, your hair looks weird, mom. Like,
but that's what I'm saying.
That
like
dress is
society
not
tells
cute.
us, oh, don't do this, don't do that. You have to behave a certain way. And we forget along the way how to be kids. So when we find those little moments where we can just be free, and be like, man, I feel like a kid right now.
Yeah. So like yesterday, he went to the beach and did a drum circle, which is his like church basically, right. And but I was here, and I got that whole, like, we talked about like the energies being super heavy lately and stuff like that. So trying to get back to the basics basically. Right. So I was like, okay, one of the things I'd seen in my tarot deck was advice is basically take an intuition walk and let your intuition guide you in where to go. And so I was like, you know what, that's a great idea. And so I started walking, and it was like, okay, go to the lake. Okay, I can do that. And I started walking, and along the way, on one of the streets, an RV passed, and it had the word light on it. I was like, yes. And then I looked down the street, and there's a woman running, and her shirt said, "Don't give up." And yes, right?
Oh my gosh.
So I get to the lake, and I just found the most gorgeous feathers, and I picked them up. And then I walked back, and I listened every time I came to like a crossroad, which way to go. And I went a certain way, and I found beautiful plumerias all over the ground. So I was able to gather those up, and they smelled amazing. I put some in my hair, and then I was like, okay, walk towards the plaza. I'm like, okay. So I went into Bell's Outlet, and I was like, oh, I need to get a couple things for Peyton to go back to school. I get up to the cash register, my $5 reward popped up. That was like
all of these things.
I was like, yes. And then I was like, you know what? I'm so hot. I could go for some ice cream. I popped up free ice cream. My rewards popped up again. Like, yes.
Wow.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, today was exactly what it was meant to be. And not to get too much into it too, but I'd had I was doing some meditation and I was channeling, like doing some journaling and stuff like that. And I was able to release a big emotional block that I didn't realize I was still holding on to as well.
Yeah.
And so it's just a beautiful day, but it was, I did everything that I felt like I should. Like,
Right.
you know, I listened to my own intuition, I listened to my gut, and I just really connected on a level that I think I've been ignoring lately. And so it was very therapeutic. That's why you're like, you're good to go today. I'm like, I'm great to go today.
Oh, yeah. I was like, yeah. It's perfect. And it's like, it's all exactly how, like, I feel like so happy right now. Like, you guys are awesome. And it's funny, we were talking about, like, you know, that connecting and like going back to like being a child. It's like when you find friends that you really can vibe with, like you can be more honest and you know, like you can just do that. But you also know it's like family. It comes from that place of love, and you can also be, you know, like I can do that with my kids. They're like, Mom, your hair looks weird, and I can be like, you're weird.
You're
like,
weird
thank
for
you.
calling me weird.
But see, I love that going to, you just have to trust that flow. And it's interesting because I interviewed two good friends of mine, Dr. Rose and her husband Bill, and she's an acupuncturist, and they're both light workers, and he found his light working way like through their relationship. Like he's like totally like, it's amazing, like the stuff that he can see now, and he can see the aura, he can see all of it. And we were talking about a couple things, and something that they said was like, oh my gosh, I realized a big emotional block that I was applying to general aspects of my life, and I was applying to certain areas of life. We were talking about manifestation basically.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know, you kind of have to treat it like a cat. Like you don't need to like grasp onto it. You just be like, hey, it's cool.
Yeah.
I know you'll come back.
I acknowledge you.
Yeah.
I acknowledge you. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, we're okay. Because then, you know, a cat doesn't really, sometimes like they don't want you to go pick them up. They'll run away more. So it's good. He's like, you have to trust enough to not latch on.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, maybe I haven't been doing that in like other ways in my life. Like I'm too like helicoptery with my kids. I'm latching on too much. Maybe I need to take a step back and let them breathe. And and it really did. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
That was a huge thing that I wasn't aware of, because you get in this routine as a mom where you're like, or as a parent, you know, where you're just like, okay, survival. Okay, are you fed? You're bathed? You have everything you need? Okay, good. All right, you're happy? You have some fun? Okay.
Yeah, she does the same thing, because it's just out of love. Like you guys, like you said, it's out of routine. It comes from a routine, but it's out of love. You want it to be taken care of.
Right.
And she does the same thing with Peyton, her son.
Yeah.
And like I'm on the outside, so I'm seeing.
You can see a different.
I can see a different perspective, and I'm like, babe, you need to let him. You know.
And it's hard for us to see it sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, but no, you don't understand. Like there's this thing, and then I'll kind of put myself in that position. I'm like, okay. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
it's fine, but it can be tough because we're so
exactly. And at the end of the day, when everyone gets to a certain age where you need to start doing things for yourself, that way you can learn.
Because at that age.
Because I mean, when you're a grown up, but like if you don't know how to do anything, it's because everything was done for you.
Right.
So if you start doing things young for yourself, like doing your own laundry, doing this, doing that, like when you're 8, 21, 22, when you move out or whatever,
you'll know how to
19, you're like, oh yeah, cool.
Yeah.
You know, I know how to take care of myself.
And actually, things have gotten better lately. He's been stepping up huge.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And he feels so much better about him. It's helped his self-confidence.
Yeah.
Exactly, because I explained the same thing to him. I was like, listen, we're not asking you to take the trash out. Like, yeah, you're helping us, but it's not for us.
Yeah.
It's for you to get this in your head that this needs to happen. That way, you know. And like now he's like, yeah, like I know how to do this. I know how to do that. And he feels good about himself. So
the best piece of parenting advice that I ever read, that unfortunately I read when my son was much too late, much too old, was like the first time a kid's ever trying to do something, say you're making a cake or something like that, and they want to crack the egg, and they go to crack the egg, and you're worried about it making a mess. And
You're
you're like, no.
Yeah.
And like that kills their self-esteem and their confidence so much more. It's so much more harmful than cleaning up an egg.
Right.
And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so true. Like, like stopping them and always saying, no, don't do this. No, don't do that. That's dangerous. That like it kills their, like I said, their self-confidence, their psyche, their and then all of a sudden they're like, I can't do anything for myself.
Yeah.
And whereas most of the time, if you just let them do it, it really wouldn't be that bad if they screwed it up.
Right. And then they're learning.
Yeah.
That's
they're
like,
learning.
That's the difference of upbringing. Because I grew up in Cuba, and our thing was like, instead of no, don't do that, they're like, do it. Because they were like, you want to touch the fire? And like, oh yeah, touch it. Yeah, go ahead. And then you touch the fire, and like, oh, this burns. I'm not gonna touch that again. You know. And it was always like, oh, don't do that. And like, yeah, do it. Climb that tree and see
what happens.
See what happens.
Yeah. Just see,
See what happens.
I've learned to relax a little bit with that, with like food stuff,
Yeah.
because I ended up with I used to eat whatever as a kid. I grew up eating like what every other pretty much American kid grew up eating. You know, we had McDonald's. And so like I started getting like migraines and all this stuff, and then I realized I had an MSG sensitivity. I realized I had all this stuff with food and chemicals, and so I was like, okay, well, I have to shift my eating into something much more cleaner. I'm going to do that with the girls too, and they ate so clean for a while that like when they started getting into grade school and going to birthday parties, and they're like, Mom, can I have this? Can I have that? Can I have that? And I was like, no, I don't want you to have Doritos. But then I was like, okay, you know what? Go ahead. You can have a try. They both had grown up so like clean that they ate Doritos and they came home and they were like threw up all night. They were this like upset stomach, and they're like, we totally see why you don't want it. And I'm like, well, normal kids wouldn't have that. But you grew up on like spirulina popsicles. So like, like of course your body's gonna be like, what's this? Freak out. But I've learned to relax in that area. So if I can just apply, because I do the same thing. I'm like covery about, you know, and I don't know how we got into the subject, but you know, it is what it is. It's free flowing. It's
This is happening.
It's
the artist talk went into parenting.
I always say like whatever is said and whoever it reaches, it's what everybody needed to hear. And you know, the thing with Lionsgate, like everybody's been going through this.
Oh yeah.
Most of who I've heard it from is women, especially who are moms.
Yeah.
They've just had like this week has been like, they're like, I've been so impatient with my kids. I've had like it's really interesting, and like a lot of different women that I've talked to, and there's some men who have been going through some stuff too. Now we've got new moon and all of that too, so there's like this amplified energy, and but it's good to like open up the conversation about these things, that you know, it's okay, we're gonna have bad days, we're gonna have bad weeks, we're gonna have emotional detoxing and purging and all
it's
of
how
this
you
stuff.
come out of it
Well,
that matters.
Yeah, like I mean, I had a day last week where I was falling apart.
Okay.
Like I talked to you about it afterwards, but like I was a mess, and like I'm talking to him, I'm like, I think I'm depressed. Like I mean, you know, like I've never had depression in my life, right? But I'm like,
and I'm like that doesn't sound like you, honey.
I know, like I'm like falling apart.
Yeah.
Like
I had women like I took a pregnancy test just to make sure I wasn't like something's off.
I was like a hot mess, and but like we talked about it afterwards. I struggle, like especially like trying to walk this spiritual path. Like when I have days like that, it's almost really intimidating to reach out to other people to be like,
supposed to hold
exactly. Like I'm, you know, I tend to be one that's more uplifting to others and stuff like that. So I hate to be like, I'm falling apart.
Yeah.
You know, like
to be a downer.
You feel like you've regressed. You feel like all this stuff, and it's hard to admit that you need help.
Right.
But like I said, the day before I talked to you, I reached out to somebody and I was like, I need help.
Yeah.
Like, and as soon as I did that, everything switched.
You just had to ask for it.
I had to ask for it. And like, I mean, even though I asked her for help and it didn't really come from her, but like, I felt like at the same time, I was probably finally asking the universe for help, because I hadn't asked it either.
Got, like,
I hadn't asked anybody.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm falling apart. Like I didn't even ask him for help.
Right.
I just was like,
yeah.
I was still trying to control it all. I was still trying to do it all myself. But instead, when I finally was like, I need help, like, and then you reached out the next day.
Oh my gosh.
And you're like, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm not doing great. Like,
Like it was just like I just felt I was like I feel like I should like how does that go? Like and that's what I reached out to a couple people and it was like they're like, dude, this week is rough, and I'm like, all right, okay,
Yeah, it's not just me.
Like I had one interview last week, and she was like, I was like, how are you feeling about tomorrow? And she was like, you must be feeling the same thing I am. And I was like, kind of, but I'm totally cool with it. If you want to do it, like I can totally do it. And she's like, let's play it by ear. And then it worked out fine. And but the first thing she said when she came over, she was like, Lionsgate isn't playing around. And I was like, no, it's not. And it's like, it's interesting how you said like it feels like it's regressing, but really it's always moving forward. And I had to tell myself that too, because I was like, what is wrong with me? Like I don't even feel like myself this week. Like I'm all over the place. Am I just overwhelmed? Am I taking on too much? What is it? What is it? What is it? And I was like, when I realized it was kind of collective, I'm like, okay, we're just supposed to purge all this old stuff.
The way I see it, you only start regressing when you stop working on yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
When you completely stop working on yourself, then you are going backwards.
Yeah.
If you're always continuing to better yourself and continue to try to do the best thing for you, then you'll never regress. Yeah. There's always going to be a day or a couple days or a week that it's rough, but it's
it's moving forward.
It's for moving forward. That's a period. Like see it as a snake. It's shedding the bad skin into moving into and it'll have shinier skin, and now you're doing so much better, and because you had to shed that.
That is a great analogy. Actually,
I like it.
Because I was thinking, like, when we have a little leopard gecko, the first time he started shedding, they were like, Mom, what happened to him? Is he okay?
Yeah.
And you could seem as if, like, oh, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Something's wrong. But it's like, no, I'm just rebirthing.
Yeah.
Give me a day or two. Like, I'll come back. Like,
I'll take pictures right now.
Their skin is,
tomorrow.
Their scales are so much shinier, and they look amazing because they shed all the bad things that they had on them. So,
Yeah. And so I'm sure like the areas we felt like we were regressing are just like instead old versions of ourselves that we're finally purging.
Yes.
We're finally like, okay.
Yeah.
So you were trained in, what was it?
Neurolinguistic programming and hypnosis.
Okay.
Or NLP.
And then I remember when that night that I was here, we were talking about
we were
that. And then do you still do that? Do you still offer that, or is that more of a personal?
I used to have an office where I did it. So that's when I was really doing it in a professional setting. I'm still trained. I mean, I still know how to do it. I still do it.
But now you do it through your tarot cards.
Yeah, a lot of times now I channel the energy through my tarot instead.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Because it's the same energy.
Yeah.
It's just a different form. And I still do it for friends and stuff like that. Or if anyone needs help, like sometimes I'll just be like, this person needs me, like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to do it professionally.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm just traveling hippie that loves to talk to old people.
Old people are cool, aren't they?
Yeah.
Some of my favorite people are old people.
Are
like,
awesome.
You learn so much from them.
I learned like my grandfather was, when I was in third grade, he was way up in his 70s already, and him and we had this really big connection. And he was a traveler himself.
Oh, cool.
And he was a pilot, and he did all kinds of stuff. And he would always tell me stories about his travels, and he had all these trinkets in his bedroom. Like he had a miniature Empire State Building when he went to New York, and all kinds of stuff like that. And for me, it always sparked that curiosity, like, what's the world like?
Oh yeah.
And in Cuba,
that's like you guys share that so much.
In Cuba, like before I came from Cuba when I was 15. And I had already traveled the entire island with my brother, because he's 6 years older than me. He used to take me out a lot.
Oh, okay.
So he used to take me concerts, or we will go survival camping for weeks at a time. And he
I think
would
that's
teach
something
me.
everybody should do.
Yeah, I will learn a lot of useful skills and all these things. So by the time I got here, I'm like, okay, now I'm living in this country. I want to know what this country's about. And
he took a road trip all over. He's been to every state.
Wow.
Yeah,
which I haven't been to every state. Like,
well, I know.
Yeah. I started working at 15 15 and I was still going full time to high school. I got to a point in my senior year that I had 2 jobs and I was still going full time in high school.
Okay.
And I saved up enough money when I turned 19. I got a fake ID and I took off.
Don't do that at home.
Yeah, don't do that at home. But I took off and I traveled with a buddy of mine. He was older than me. He drove most of the way, and we traveled all the 48 states. It was just my buddy, me, and my dog. And
That's awesome.
that was like my first experience, like seeing a lot of things in this country. And I drank the Long Island iced tea in every
Oh, that's
that was the premise of the
That was-
trip.
that was
Because
the-
I love to drink, and I was like, okay, I want to see what state has the best one.
right.
And I would go into every bar that I went to. I was like, okay, I'm traveling, and I want to know who's got the best
Who
Long
had the
Island
best
iced
one?
tea.
Was it long?
And the best one that I drank was in Tennessee, Nashville.
Oh,
I
okay.
got
Yeah,
drunk
that makes
off of
sense actually.
one.
That makes sense
And it
actually.
wasn't
I-
like it wasn't like it was unfair. I would tell all the bartenders, so they would try to make me the best and the
okay.
best tasting.
So you didn't
one.
get like a slacker one. Every
yeah,
once
yeah,
in a while?
yeah.
Like,
I would tell them, so they would try to make me the best one every time. And
That's
yeah,
awesome.
So another kind of fun thing that we learned recently is like, I think one of the reasons that he likes old people is he was talking to my dad, and like the stories of their upbringing, like his childhood in Cuba is more similar to people that are more like in their 70s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because not my generation, or I mean our generation in the United States grew up completely different.
Right.
exactly, because you kept
And-
progressing, but
Yeah.
in Cuba, like the upbringing stayed the same for all those years that you had that you guys changed. So I'm raised more in an old school way
Yeah.
than.
So
than
he's
you
talking
would
to my
think.
dad, who was born in the 50s, and that's like their childhoods are more similar than mine and his.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh wow.
because of like the freedom my dad had
Yeah.
as a kid,
Right.
and like the,
Yeah,
you
he
know,
was
you
telling
were,
a
being able to ride your
story.
bike
Yeah.
somewhere, or
Yeah.
walk somewhere.
And
We're like, we
like
didn't
going through
really
the
do
jungle
that.
with a machete at 10 years
Yeah.
old, and like
because my dad
that
lived
was
in
me.
Guam,
Oh, okay.
but like
Yeah,
for just a couple years.
Yeah,
But like,
yeah, and that was pretty much me. Like I was a kid, and my parents will pretty much kick us out of the house, and you like go play somewhere, and I'm gonna take a nap, and we'll be nowhere to be found
Wow.
for hours. And
Well,
just,
even like our kids' ages now is so much different than us.
oh,
like
100%.
we
yeah.
were, even though we weren't able to do like
As
quite
much as that.
that.
yeah,
We were able to do probably more
More
than
freedom
more
than
than
they
that,
like
had.
yeah.
I could like rollerblade around the block,
Yeah,
and now I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm coming with you.
Yeah.
If you're going around the block, like.
yeah.
But and I don't know if that's because I feel like there's a lot of stuff that is out
Yeah.
there,
yeah.
and it's like, is it because it's more well known now?
I think so.
Or is it because there's more
It-
people?
it-
There's more of a possibility.
It
of
is
something,
because
or
it's
like,
more well known now.
Yeah.
Because think about it. Back then, we didn't have internet.
Mhm.
We had the news, and so a lot of times they couldn't report everything because they didn't find everything,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
every single case that
So it was like a false sense of security when we were kids.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
But was it bad? Because I mean, we had so much more freedom.
Right.
We learned so much younger.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, we have better life skills. I mean, oh my gosh, this guy. Like, I mean, we've talked about him teaching survival skills like in our backyard
that would be
because like
really cool.
Yeah.
Actually, I'd be totally
We
interested in that. And like,
here at this house, we're gonna show the
backyard,
backyard. You only
Yeah,
get
yeah.
to see a little bit, but in the backyard, we want to do little workshops. Like we want to
guided
have
meditation.
guided
Oh,
meditations,
yeah.
and I can teach survival skills, drumming
Painting
classes,
workshop.
painting,
Yeah. Oh,
all
yeah.
kinds of stuff like that. Like right now, we're ready to open up the space for
Cool.
other
Yeah.
people. That's pretty much our goal. That way we can have a little sense of community and have a day of the week that you're doing something other than your Monday life.
Right. Oh,
So
that's
And-
really cool.
And we hold such beautiful space here.
You really do.
We've been putting a lot of energy into it for years, and as I said, we're both pretty spiritually connected too, so we like to open the space to that, and we've been having get-togethers for years of just like we basically just invite everybody that we click with,
Right.
and like,
Yeah.
Right.
and,
Yeah.
I mean, and not that it's clicky because it's always different people, but
Yeah.
like just anyone who are like,
Just
oh,
pretty
they're
much,
cool.
yeah,
Come to our
pretty
house.
much. And like since we meet people all the
Yeah.
time, like we met you and we were
Yeah.
like, hey, come over.
Yeah.
Actually,
I really wanted to go to the 4th of July thing too, but there were like 3 other things
Yeah.
going on the same day, and I was like, ah. And I wanted to come hang
Yeah.
with you guys because you guys are awesome. And then you hold beautiful, even just the clothing exchange.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
the most beautiful clothing exchange. We sat and we played music for a
Yeah.
while
Yeah.
after, and it was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you can come to my birthday. We're gonna be camping, or we do a Friendsgiving.
We do a Friendsgiving every
November.
year.
Awesome.
The Tuesday before Thanksgiving.
See, that's really smart because then if people still have family stuff on Thursday, they
Yeah.
It doesn't clash.
Yeah,
'Cause
we
we,
try-
we
yeah.
also like to do family stuff. So
Yeah.
We don't want to
Yeah.
make you pick and choose between us and your family.
Yeah.
So.
that would be really mean.
Who do you really
I
love?
know, right?
Who do you really love? Show me.
Well, at that point, it comes down to who's going to get mad if you don't show up.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
Well, any of us that grew up in split families
Yeah.
already knows how that. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'll be at mom's house till 2, and then I'll go to dad's house at like 2:30 to whatever. Like, there's always that
Yeah.
like flip. But no, that's really cool. That's you guys probably hold like a beautiful Friendsgiving.
it's nice.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
it's really nice. Hopefully by then the table's gonna be done. I'm gonna build a big table for the backyard.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, with rustic wood and
so
stuff.
cool.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal anyway, because we always have a project going on. So
Yeah, there's always
Yeah.
I can't guarantee anything. We'll make it work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then right now you guys have Wednesday night.
Yes.
You do.
we
But that's where we're closed.
well, yeah, that's not so it's not really
so
close.
close. It's a start to what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're
But
still working out the kinks on that one.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
it's a start to what we're trying to do. The spiritual Wednesdays,
Mm-hmm.
and but those days we may have either her host it, or we're gonna have all the people doing their own workshops and
Oh,
stuff
cool.
like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
like she said, we're still trying to work the kinks on
Mhm.
the Wednesday night, but any other night it's perfect for any.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to start coming to that one because
Yeah.
that'll
Well,
be.
we like started it, and then I went out of town, and then I was basically out of town for 2 Wednesdays.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then we're like, so we haven't really started it back again. Actually, Lulu showed up on Wednesday, and I was like, are we
Oh,
doing
she
it?
did?
Yeah, when she dropped off the jalapenos,
Oh
she showed up on Wednesday. I was like, oh, we weren't
Yeah.
prepared for that.
Yeah,
we have jalapenos.
Yeah, but
yeah,
then
she
she's like,
just
I have
she just brought a bag of jalapenos.
Yeah.
She's like, I was just gonna share with everyone. I'm like, cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was amazing. Like, in the same week, somebody, one of my friends is like, hey, I have a ton of avocados. If you want to come pick up avocados.
So you guys
And
are
then-
all ready to have like a taco,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
guacamole party or something.
And yeah, and then they're like, 2 days later.
Actually, that's not a bad thing either. To
Yeah.
do like a cook your own recipe kind of thing.
Everybody bring.
Everybody,
Yes.
yeah.
Actually, one thing he's been dying to do is do basically like a chef's
chopped,
chopped kitchen,
Chopped kitchen
Where-
kind of style thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because he actually went to culinary school too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
He's
And
good at everything.
I only worked as a chef for 2 years,
Okay.
and then I went back to my dogs.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But he wants to do like chopped night where, whoever's not participating gets to go pick out like a random like 5 ingredients or whatever that you have to use in the dish. And then
Yeah.
like basically see whose dish comes out the best or whatever. Like,
That's cool. Oh, that'd be so fun.
right?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Except for I wanna be a judge.
I've been wanting to do that for a while. I haven't found
please.
anyone to
To challenge him. He needs
I
challengers.
need a challenger.
My
But
friend
yeah,
Matt might want to do that.
Yeah?
Oh yeah, I could tell. He's like, he'll literally be like, yeah, give me some ingredients, I'll make something cool. And he
yeah,
always does.
I
It's
do
always
that. I do
awesome.
that all the time.
Okay.
Like a lot of times, it's like 5 o'clock. He's like, "What are we gonna do for dinner?" I'm like, "I got it."
Oh,
I
yeah,
go in the
don't
kitchen.
worry.
I'm like, and I'll
Oh.
make something up.
But when it's like 5 o'clock and he was like, "Oh, you're gonna do dinner, right?" I get started getting stressed because I love to cook, but I need a recipe. I need to know what I'm doing. I need to like
A month ahead of time.
Yeah.
She needs to plan it.
that's
And-
an exaggeration.
yeah, it's an essential.
But yeah,
Okay.
like I love it, and I don't always 100% follow the recipe,
Right.
but like
You want a guide?
I need the
A
security
guidance,
blanket.
Yeah. Something to like help me like focus.
Make sure I cook it long enough. Like
I wonder if that's part of like, because I've been reading this book. Actually, I've been doing the audiobook of Intimate Communion, and it talks a lot about the masculine and feminine energies and how we really are wired in different ways, but the energy is wired in different ways. So like you could be a male but be more feminine, or you can go in and out of that. And it was talking about even like in relationships where, and it helps you understand, and it helps you understand the other person. Like, oh, that's why. If this person's in their masculine, that's why this works this way and that works that way. So I wonder, now that I have that in my head, I'm like, I wonder if that's like more of a feminine thing. Because a lot of guys that I know that can cook, they're very much like that. They're just like, no problem. Where there's some women that are like that, but it's because they knew a recipe well enough to just play off.
Yeah. It's not that they're just making it up. They're just kind of like, oh yeah, I know how to.
Like if I'm in the right mindset and I'm in a good enough create space and I'm not stressed already and I have time.
Yeah.
And I don't have other like kids or like other things to tend to, I could do it better. But like, I'm like, oh, well, I don't know. Cause then like, am I going to cook it? And how am I going to, you get all like,
I think we overthink it.
Yeah.
You just overthink.
That's the other thing. I don't. I know what ingredients go well together, which one don't, the spices that go with that type of dish that I'm trying to make, and I just wing it.
And it's always delicious.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My thing is I'll know like what things would go well together, but I don't think about doing something like, oh, cooking it this way.
Yeah.
And changing it up. But like,
Yeah.
like that's where I'm like, because I'll like watch like friends of mine cook or whatever. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah. I never thought about baking it and then throwing it in the pan to saute it.
Right.
Oh, it tastes so much better. But
Yeah, like I just like do the traditional what's easy.
Yeah. I do that. For example, I do that with if I'm gonna do barbecue ribs.
Okay.
I put them in the oven first on a like a deep
like a deep sheet.
Yeah,
or
deep
something.
sheet.
Okay.
Yeah, and I put a bottle of wine, red wine, with this on the ribs, and I do it on 400 for I don't know 25 minutes.
Okay.
And then I finish them up on the grill, and they're all toasty, and then the meat is like
juicy.
and the meat is juicy, and they're cooked all the way through, and it's just like falling off the bone.
Ooh.
So,
You have your recipe
Yeah,
now,
try that one at home, and then you let me know.
Well, is there anything else you guys want to share here? Or like, should we?
I think the backyard's next.
Yeah, the backyard.
Cool.
Yeah, the backyard's next. You have to sit and you have to check out.
Oh
the
yeah.
back.
Oh yeah. Well,
We've added a lot of stuff back there.
yeah. Stay tuned.
Well, out here,
This is his baby.
We
This is our
have-
backyard.
a lot of little things to show. Like all these vines that I'm transporting all across the top. This is one of my favorites.
I love
And
that guy.
He's
He's got the leaf coming out of the mouth.
In every pot, there's always a little hidden something. Like this guy up here.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
Cuban god.
You got the little horse.
Got my owl down here.
I love. You could look through this for hours. And
Oh yeah, there's stuff everywhere. There's all that stuff
So-
over there.
Like we were mentioning before, a lot of the stuff in our garden it's all recycle. We have repurposed, and we have barely put anything from our own pocket into it. It's all been rebuilt and reused as we see fit, I think.
Occasionally we'll grab something from like the thrift store or
Yeah, like all these little trinkets and like pots and stuff like that. Like all these things that came from like the Goodwill.
Oh yeah. But that gives it so much more character.
Yeah, would think so.
What about this pipe? What's the?
Oh,
This
that was
is
for
a
neighbor.
furnace. A furnace that came with the house next door, and he was going to throw it out, and I thought I could use it to plant something in it. So far, I have this, but on the other side,
It looks
we'll
like a
show
face.
you.
Oh.
It looks like a face, and it's gonna have a tongue of flowers.
Oh, that's awesome.
This was a friend's chandelier that she couldn't get to work, so she's like, I'm just gonna throw it out, but I hate to because it's beautiful. So she gave it to us, and
Like now it's a succulent pot.
Yep. And a lot of the things that I like to do is plants, edible plants with pretty ones
Oh yeah.
to have all mixed. So we have some
Parsley.
parsley here, back there, the big rosemary plant.
Oh yeah.
Got chives in there.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, some chives, which I use for cooking every day, almost.
I think this was
This-
a creation.
This little guy right here is one of my favorites.
And that is actually, as my mom pointed out, a very expensive piece because we raided my mom's house because she had a whole just boxes and boxes she hadn't seen in like 10 plus years.
Oh wow.
And she's like, but that's a Capodimonte. I'm like, is it doing you any good in the box? She's like, no. I'm like, well, at least you'll see it when you come to our garden.
Well then here, yeah, she gets
Yeah.
it's a little got a little spotlight.
Yeah, it's like a little Italian collectible.
So, this is the shoe rack that I mentioned.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's awesome.
With our Jenny Springs story up there.
Yeah, this is
Did you guys
one-
paint that?
I did, yeah.
Oh,
She
that's
did.
awesome.
That it tells the whole weekend, pretty much.
Is that a combo frog or a bufo frog? Or
That
both?
well, actually, the people that came in from the from other places, we called them frog people.
Oh,
So,
that's
yeah.
awesome. I
They
was
would
like,
just hop in and sit for a minute and then hop out.
I didn't know if it was like a frog medicine thing
Yeah.
or if it was like a.
No, this is a story
Yes,
of
that's
the
him in
whole
his
weekend.
poncho, his Cuban Jesus poncho.
Cuban Jesus.
Yes, that's the the nickname.
Cuban Jesus.
So yeah, more of our herbs,
Mint and thyme.
mint,
and-
thyme, more rosemary, sage.
Sage died,
It died, yeah.
But we'll use it for burning and
Oh yeah,
to
yeah.
make smush sticks.
Yeah, sage and basil I noticed are
Yes.
tricky ones. And there's so much detail. Like every time I come here, there's something else I didn't notice
This
before.
is something we picked up on our out west trip.
yeah.
Little
Cocopelli.
cocopelli.
We still have glitter everywhere from our 4th of July.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw the like
There
pools.
were the kiddie
glitter
pools full
pools.
of glitter.
That's amazing.
This is our pond.
It's
And
so pretty.
This started with, we used to have 3 big dogs, and the biggest one was a Great Pyrenees, and he would dig holes in the backyard.
Everywhere.
And so he dug this massive hole right in the middle of our yard. And one
And-
day Carlos was like, do you want a pond? I'm like, that'd be cool.
Yeah, she was, and we talked about it, and I left it as that. She was still working at the furniture store, and I'm sitting on the steps, and I'm looking at the hole, and I'm like, oh my god, that looks dreadful. I looked to my side, and I saw a shovel. I looked back at the hole, I looked back at the shovel, I'm like, all right, I'm making the pond. So I spent all day digging this giant hole. And she comes back from work, and I'm covered in dirt from head to toe. I'm like, babe, we're doing a pond.
That's awesome. And look at it was totally worth it.
Yeah, this is about a year and a half worth of growth.
Okay.
So it definitely took a while before it got to this level.
Yeah.
Because I mean, some of this is like wildflowers and like weeds,
Yeah. See,
stuff
like,
like
for
that.
example,
but
that plant right there, I brought back from Jenny Springs
Yeah.
when we went camping.
Oh, okay.
And this one was from a client that we painted at her house, and she
It's
had a
murals.
pond, and she had different plants in it. And she's
Oh,
like, well,
wow.
you can take some.
yeah,
Yeah, a lot of the plants in here have been
the-
brought over.
the banana plant is from a friend's house, and then the moringa is from
My mom's
your-
neighbor.
Yeah.
Oh.
The dragon came from the same friend that gave us the banana. That was when she moved in, they had a pond, and her husband didn't want to keep the pond. And the guy that they bought the house from had passed away, but he was an artist, so he actually made that. And it was big and heavy, and none of his kids wanted to take it with them. So that is an original,
That is so cool.
handcrafted by the person that used to live
Yep.
in the house. So we're like, well, it can
And
come to
this
our
is
house.
the little princess that's gonna look after the dragon.
Yeah, that one's new. Yeah, there's all
That's
of
so cool. I love that.
And then our little like tiki house,
Yes, the casita.
the casita.
This entire elaborate thing was to protect my tomato plants.
That's
Those-
amazing.
I had tomatoes twice before, and they grew really big, but they had too much sun, and they just burnt out. So I decided to build this from scrap wood that we had
And
left over.
we used the
from doing
bamboo from our
projects.
bamboo.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yep. Yeah, I cut a bunch of those down, and
Whacked me in the head.
yeah, it's an accident.
So then you just
Um,
have some.
Yeah, I have my tomato plant in here, which is doing way better than it was with all the sun.
This is the vine that grows up for the morning glory all over the roof.
Ooh, oh, that's pretty.
Yeah.
And it naturally just twists like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, this is all naturally, like when I started to guide it because I wanted to have it in a specific way,
Yeah.
and we went on our road trip and we were gone for a month. When I came back, it was just a giant bush full of flowers everywhere. I'm like, cool.
All right.
It looks great.
These are
Thank you,
baby
nature.
sunflowers.
Ooh.
So we're gonna have a sunflower patch.
Yeah, from the bird seed that falls in there, we had sunflowers.
We had some growing, and
before.
then we added more seeds.
Yeah.
So this is a little baby sunflower patch. There's like 3 different types of them in there. There's big ones, small ones, so that should be fun.
You got like a little ecosystem right there.
These are Alyse's favorite
Oh,
flowers.
these are my favorites.
Oh, what are those?
I don't know their name, but
They're really
there's
pretty.
there's a bunch of different colors.
Yeah.
Oh, they all. It's.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
wow.
all the
Different
same
colors.
bush, but they all come out different colors. I really like the pink ones. We just don't happen to have.
Yeah,
pink
we don't
one
have
right
it
now.
right
The
now.
pink are my favorite. And yeah, you see, there's just stuff everywhere.
And this is another addition that I'm gonna. This is for another garden that I'm doing here for all edible plants and medical plants as well. But it's all gonna be irrigated by this tank.
It's a rain barrel. So.
We gathering rainwater and all with a drip system using gravity and no electricity or anything like that. Just to keep my plants alive. Just
Awesome.
using rainwater.
This area right here, before we go over to the fire pit, is a little gnome village.
That's so cute. My mom recently started to become obsessed with gnomes. Like around Christmas time, she was like, gnome everything.
Nice. And then these
That's so
are all
cute.
different pepper plants, and then
Beans.
beans.
Yeah, we just got our first crop of beans
Yeah.
not too long ago.
So we got jalapenos and like
Yeah, in the
habaneros
summer they get so burnt
Serrano
out, but
and-
afterwards they just come back.
Come
and
back,
it's
oh, yeah.
full of peppers.
And we didn't plant these obviously, but we do have a huge mango tree right there, and then an avocado tree over there.
Yeah, which we're trying to cover completely with beads.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Any leftover beads you have
From our
and from Gasparilla, feel free to toss them on it. It's a fun thing to do.
And then he just started cucumbers.
Yeah. Yeah, this is my baby cucumbers. The idea is to have all these vines.
Oh,
pallet,
climb up all around it.
and
Oh,
it'll
that's a great
cascade
idea.
down And just grab the cucumbers.
Oh, that's a great idea. And then you got like a little hangout
Yep.
spot over there.
This was an umbrella.
Yeah.
This is
An umbrella stand.
an umbrella stand, and we found a different use for it.
Oh, that's
You
cool.
can see we actually do have some avocados still on the tree.
Oh, yeah.
They kind of hide. And
So,
then
yeah,
it's
you've
past
got a-
mango season, but
And this is a really cool thing. Like I discovered this the other day when I was planting this, because we want to have like the same vines over there to grow up the tree.
Oh, yeah.
That's a squirrel
Nest?
house. Yeah.
Aw.
It's got there's got a hole back here that is covered made a wall, which was pretty neat. And all in there looks like it's got like a living room. It's pretty big inside.
Wow.
Yeah.
And actually talking about intuition, like there was one day that I came out and I was like, I should go talk to my mango tree, right? So I go up and I put my hand on the mango tree and I'm talking and I look up and in that branch right there was my owl sitting there just staring at me. I was like, oh.
Is it the same one that lives in the barn? Like, is there a
Same
routine
kind.
one? Same kind,
it's the
yeah.
same I don't know if it's the same owl. I like to think it's the same owl.
It's
But
like,
it's those little tiny, like,
oh.
they're so cute.
Yeah, tiny barn owls.
Little- I think they're called screech owls, actually.
Yeah, because they do make a screeching noise
Yeah, they
at
do.
night.
Oh
I
yeah.
think they're screech owls, but yeah, they're little owls.
And yeah, this is more work in progress. This is gonna have a canopy here with all the branches over there. They're gonna make the roof. It's gonna look very natural.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm going to plant muscadine grapes so they can make the
Ooh yeah.
canopy roof.
That was just thrown up real fast as like a temporary for our 4th of July to have a stage for.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right. You're
'cause
like a
we were
DJ or
potentially
something up
going
there?
to have someone DJ at the party, but I ended up just playing the music.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And yeah.
And I don't know if you saw, but they did cut down part of the.
yeah.
Oh, the
the
oh
thing so
wow.
he could sit there and have talk to the neighbor.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh my gosh.
Because our neighbor has a pretty cool backyard too.
Yeah, he's got
Just-
a
you just
succulent garden,
Yeah.
everything.
Cut it down and
Yep.
bent it down to
Yeah, it's got hinges and it just
Yeah.
pops down and pops right back up.
Oh yeah, they have a cool yard too.
So they just sit and hang out.
Yeah.
They must have a kid who likes sharks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, here's the other side of the.
Oh yeah, it does look like a
this
face.
fell down.
Yeah.
This was just here for now.
Until
But,
we.
This is gonna have the runner flowers
Oh okay.
that it's just gonna spill out. It's gonna look like a tongue.
Oh, that's
And,
gonna be
yeah.
so cool.
Macy's been digging too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Another
I mean,
another
I think
pond.
she's choosing to do it in places that is hidden, which
Yeah.
is it's not as much trouble.
And this is a bar that our neighbor was getting rid of too. I mean, obviously it's not an outdoors bar, so the
yeah,
top is starting
this is
to peel
going
off.
to be changed as
But
well.
we're gonna redo that as soon as it's like completely gone. We're gonna put like a wood top, kind of like we did at the fire pit,
Oh, okay.
but like wood pieces.
Oh nice,
And-
yeah.
Because the bottom will hold up, but it's just the top was made of like plywood or something.
It's meant to
Oh.
be inside.
Yeah. But again, that was another thing given to us. And then our fire pit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is so cool. So you hand sawed the tops of a lot of these.
Yep.
All of those, yeah.
All of those with
Yeah.
the chainsaw, just
Yeah.
slicing the logs.
Yeah.
Took about 4 days.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Because I mean, after you've done, I don't know, 8 of those, you're like, all right,
Oh, he was done.
I'm done for the day.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We have our little bamboo forest. Oh yeah, we're growing squash.
And wasn't that painting?
Yes.
That was the actual first one? Or
That
was-
wasn't
or-
the first one.
Oh,
That was
okay.
Just, it was
One
the
day that
first
she was bored.
I was bored one day and we were going to do our first beach scene and we hadn't done a beach scene and I knew the blending was more me.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, let me practice.
Oh,
And so,
cool.
Yeah, this was just practice, like early, I mean, like a year and a half ago. But again, we keep it because it's,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And then you got the forest.
Yeah.
You got a little chill.
Going to be a outdoor shower, full
Yeah,
working
eventually.
bathroom.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah,
awesome.
Inside the forest.
Because we do so much entertaining outside. If we had a bathroom outside, it would just be so much more convenient.
I love these like Japanese panels too.
Yeah. My stepmom gave us those, and they used to be decor in the house, but because the house completely changed style, they've just been sitting in a closet for years. So I'm like, you know what? Again,
Might as well, yeah.
Yeah.
doesn't do it any good in a closet.
It doesn't do any good in the
So-
closet. If we can make our garden look pretty, why not?
Yeah. I love the outdoor bathroom idea too.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're excited about that. We just
Yeah,
need
because
to
then again,
scrounge
like,
up a little bit
you know,
of cash
doing
for it.
outdoor work, because since I'm always out here, having an
Yeah.
outdoor shower would
Yeah.
be amazing.
Oh yeah.
And the bathroom for parties and such.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, even right now would be a good outdoor shower
Yeah,
time.
right?
Yeah, right?
So this is is our beautiful little oasis.
Yeah,
I love
all
it.
those vines that you see right there, all these flowers, they started from a little thing like this.
Wow.
That it was planted with the bananas, and it just took off.
Yeah.
Just wow.
Actually, they were just kind of like this. We didn't know what they were, and they just kind of came with the bananas. And he planted them. He was like, "Oh, let's see what happens."
Yeah.
And now they've just like.
Yeah,
It's
to the point
beautiful.
that I've had to like, because they go into the pond a lot looking for the water.
Oh, okay.
And I've started moving them circular and around the pond, and they're just like keep growing that way, to the point that they're already on that side and all the way over here.
They're like a vine.
Oh, wow. It is like a vine.
Yeah, it's like all the way over here and all the way over there. Like it's almost got the full pond completely covered.
Yeah, this
And
is
yeah,
amazing.
This is, once again, yeah, this wasn't professionally done. I did this myself with doing research and finding things out.
Yeah.
A little bit of YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Never hurts. And this moringa tree right here, I'm trying to curve it to have it grow over the pond.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That would be really
That
cool.
would be, that's the goal anyways.
I wish my moringa was that thick. Because my cats eat the moringa at home because it's not even as thick as this yet. They're they're still little saplings pretty much, you know.
Yeah.
We were very fortunate that his neighbor gave us it pretty thick. It didn't have any greenery on it when he gave us this.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It was just a stump.
Yeah.
It was just a stump. And all this started growing, I don't know, like maybe a couple weeks after you already started seeing little green things on it.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah.
Well, this is amazing. And this will be where you hold the different workshops and all of that.
This would be like this is where we do the drum circles, the fire pit.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's, a lot of times that's where we like to do the guided meditation and such too.
Yeah, I also like to make fires a lot.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is great in July.
Yeah, yeah, right? Like right now. Do a rain dance instead. Just like so yeah, no, that's cool. I'm excited.
That's not a bad idea. Do a rain dance.
Yeah.
Do a rain dance day. Well, we gotta find out whenever it's gonna rain for sure.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So you like set yourself up for success. It's gonna rain tonight. Let's do a rain dance.
Well, thank you guys so much for showing us all your space, and thank you for coming on to Vibrant Expansion and expanding yourselves vibrantly out there in the world.
Thank you for having us. It's been amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it's been so much fun. And then we got our little interview spot. This is like the jam area.
Yeah.